Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. I'm your host, Noah, and so excited to bring this guy back on, one of our recurring guests and a real favorite. Welcome back to the show, Polny.
Thank you, Noah. What a pleasure to be here, as always. And wow, what a time we live in. Crazy world, crazy times. And thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. I got a sneak peek of what we're going to talk about tonight, and I am very excited about it. I'm just going to tell everybody up front, they're always good, but this one's going to be special. Before we get started on that, I got to share my screen and show everybody this. I always say every time we have Bo on the show that I always get a lot of requests to get Bo back on. And sure enough, I took a screenshot of this because it says, need more Polny. So Anna, your request has been fulfilled tonight in this interview. So just had to put that up there. Let me stop that share and go back to Bo. We are in for a real treat tonight. I want to get right into Bo's slides. He's not joking around when he says he has a lot to show us tonight. We're going to cover just a little bit of some of the older things that we've talked about. But then there's a whole lot of new stuff that we're going to cover tonight, as well as, of course, we're going to talk stock market and we're going to talk crypto. And Bo has some big stuff coming for crypto. We're going to do that at the end, so don't go anywhere. Don't miss that. I think you and your crypto accounts are going to want to see that if you're into crypto. And if you're not too, we have a surprise too for you. If you are not in crypto, but you know you're getting left behind, you know you should be in it, and you just don't know how, we've got something really special to show you tonight. So I don't want to do that first. I want to do this first, though, Bo, because you have so many amazing things in these slides. I'm going to share my screen so everybody can see this. And we're also going to put a link right below video. Page 2, there's a QR code right there. You just take your camera, your camera on your phone, you point it. You don't have to have a special app. You don't have to have anything. You just put your camera pointed at that QR code. It's going to give you a link to download all of these slides. There's about 165 slides in here. We're not going to talk about all of them tonight, but they are incredible. And there's a lot of new stuff from the last time we had Bo on, and it's totally free. So use the link below the video or use that QR code, get the slides, follow along, download them for free to keep them. And as always, they're free. And Bo's time that he gives us, he usually hangs out for about an hour, and that's completely free. So Bo, that's my introduction. We're just so excited to have you on the call today. Take us through it. What are we looking for in the coming days, weeks, and months?
You know, it's like the slide you have up right now, you know, the Great Reset versus the Great Awakening or the Reawakening. That's kind of the essence of what's happening. It was in October of 2020, Amanda Grace, a friend of mine, had a prophetic word. And, the prophetic word was quite straightforward. It says there is going to be a clash of the Titans in Washington, D.C. Well, I'd say what the screen right there is going to be a very, nice depiction of what's coming down. You've got, the goods, basic good versus evil. And, whenever there's a clash and God's involved, well, you kind of know how that ends up. It doesn't work out so well for the other side.
These Titans of Greek mythology, those are not necessarily just mythologies. Those are some fallen angels, some fallen entities, and they've been controlling and pushing humanity for a long time. And we're seeing that play out in Washington, D.C. through the people on this screen. But there's a whole lot more than meets the eye here than just Republicans versus Democrat. This is a spiritual battle, and I love how you always focus on that aspect of it as well.
Well, right. It's going to be a fall of both parties. This is not, because both parties are infiltrated. You've got one, the Democratic Party, what direction they're going, but then you have the moles in the Republican side that are acting, as agents. But and they're working for the demonic side. So there's going to be massive falls in both sides, both parties, not just one. We're in a year of biblical, and that's what's going to come down. The events that are going to happen are going to be biblical. You're not going to be able to deny that there is a God. Because in the Bible it's stated, that Jesus Christ has not returned until his name is spoken across the four corners of the earth, so north, south, east, and west, the world will know the name Jesus Christ. And the events that are about to happen are going to be biblical so that the world will know that there is what? To know that there is a God. Because right now, everybody is worshiping, not everybody, but, the world is so tied up in worshiping everything but God. And, all the religions of this world, they're all man-made and everything is deception, deceit. Lucifer has infiltrated everything and everybody now is lost and confused. And unfortunately, that's the world we live in. And we're at a point in time that if God doesn't intervene, right, this is not going to turn out well. But again, God, we've prayed to God, we've asked him to step in. And secondly, and we're at a point where if God doesn't intervene, this is going to get ugly, but God loves his creation, right? God loves what he made. He made humanity. He made us. He loves us. He lets us screw up. And that's exactly what happened, for 50 years. We went in a really bad direction. When we allowed the destruction of his creation via abortion, God basically had his back to us. And we've had this evil regime rise for 50 years. And now we're at 50 years. And, when you read Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. So we're stepping into a massive awakening. And what is awakening, right? It's the light. When the light shines, it exposes what's hidden, right? And so right there, Proverbs 13:22, what is it? It's, the wealth of the sinner. So all these globalists that have all this incredible amount of money, this money is stored up for who? For the righteous, for God's church, right? And so those that prepared are going to see immense blessings that are coming our way. And secondly, the chains come off, and so anybody and everybody listening to this podcast will probably agree that they've either got a student loan, they got a mortgage, or they got credit card or credit cards, or all of the above. But that, in essence, is the bondage because they've created this money out of thin air. And all that's happened is, they've made the world believe that it's real, that it's money. And so they've got everybody enslaved thinking that they're free. And so this money is when the tables turn, then the money is going to be changed and head, as it states in Proverbs 13:22, that will be overturning of the money tables and of the fall of Babylon. And so we're about to see the destruction of the financial system. And even to the next slide, the very important one actually here is in many tekel offshore scene. This was the interpretation Daniel gave King Belshazzar. And I love the first line. God has numbered your days and brought it to an end.
Me too.
That's where we're at. Okay. The financial scales are out of balance. Their kingdom's at an end. And we may not see it, right? But the prophets have seen it. God has spoken it. And what is faith? It's an understanding that there is a future and it's precision, it's precise. It's been spoken by God. We may not see it, but through faith, we know it's going to be here tomorrow. And that's the essence of faith. What's written in there, their days are numbered and we brought to an end. Belshazzar died that evening. Okay. That's what's about to happen. But before that, Belshazzar was partying, they're having drinks and they're hanging out and they're having an incredibly great time. Then he dies that night. His kingdom comes to an end and it was given to the Medes and the Persians. So as wonderful as everything looked to Belshazzar, that night his kingdom and his life came to an end. So we're this close. We've had numerous discussions in the past, Noah, about timelines. May into June was like that important time point for birth. And now we're here, and then June ended up bringing the overturning of Roe v. Wade on June 24th. So there's nothing else to calculate. Like I've stated 100 times on your show, Noah, at least 100 times, that no one's going to know the precise day and the hour of the event that's about to happen or events. Okay. And also no one knows the precise event or events that are about to happen. And we've spoken about that. And precisely because God's keeping it hidden in a mystery, it's not been revealed to one prophet. No one knows, but what we do know when we study timelines about Leviticus, right? Thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. So I know for a fact God's word will not come back void because it's written. And I know that the 50th year ends on September 24th of 2022. So what is that? A month away. So we're going to see the collapse of the world that we grew up with. What I mean by that is their financial system crumbles. And the money system that they've used to build it up with is going to be there to their demise, because God's going to turn the tables on them, and it will all happen quickly, suddenly. It will happen in a 24-hour window. And that goes back to Isaiah 61. This is the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God. A day has 24 hours in it. We are down to this incredible moment in time. And so let's talk about, page 17, if you can click on that, because this is kind of fun to discuss, actually. And we talked about this earlier. And so those that read the Bible, now this is the best part about what I do when I study. I take the timelines that are written in the Bible, and everybody's like, well, what version of the Bible? Did you read this version or that version? And whatever 100 versions there are of the Bible, guess what doesn't change in the Bible, Noah? The math.
Yep.
The math never changes. Okay. And so the Bible is the Bible. It's the good word. It's the truth. It's the good word. That's what it is. It's the good news. Okay. And the good news brings numbers with it. And there's reasons that there's numbers written within the Bible. And so if you look at Daniel's timeline, Daniel writes about a timeline. It's also reiterated by Matthew, but it talks about a 1260-day window, which is precisely 3.5 years, because a biblical year is 360 days. That's why a circle has 360 degrees in it. Okay. It's a cycle, a circle. Okay. And so if you take, this is really what I just got a few days ago, which was mind blowing, because
this is so good. I just want to tell people I got a sneak peek of this beforehand, and you're going to love this. So pay attention to this part right here, what Bo's going to lay out.
So what have we talked about, Noah? I've been on your show how many times? And I've been on your show, and every time we talk about Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year, proclaim liberty throughout the land and all of its inhabitants, right? We've discussed that I don't know how many times, but that's on page 22. Page 22, basically, I've said the 50th year started September 6th of 2021, Rosh Hashanah, and it ends on September 24th. Of 2022. Right. Stated, I don't know how many times on your show, but that is a factual statement, okay? And so the crazy thing that I got the other day was this. So we go to page 17 again, okay? So we know 1260 days is written in the Bible. I don't know how many times, but it talks about this, it talks about a very important time window. So this illustrates to you that God is a designer of everything. Actually, the greatest prophecy, the word Daniel, the greatest prophecy I think ever told was a story of Daniel that was given to Nebuchadnezzar. That's the statue of Daniel. That Daniel 2 prophecy stands for 2,500 years. 2.5, exactly there. And that's the statue. It's about to come down. But that's right there, the great image. That was given in 500 BC. So this is a 2,500 year prophecy. So those that listen to the soothsayers, to the psychics, okay, let me tell you something, okay? There isn't one psychic. There isn't one soothsayer. There isn't one anybody out there who has been ever given a 2,500 year prophecy. But this prophecy was a dream given to Nebuchadnezzar, and the interpretation of the dream that Nebuchadnezzar never even gave anybody, but Daniel prayed, God gave Daniel the interpretation, and it described all the kingdoms that have existed to date for the past 2,500 years, and not one piece of the prophecy has not been perfect. The only piece that's missing is what you're looking at there on page 13, because that's the fall of it. It's a Daniel 2:34 prophecy where it states, and a stone carved out by no human hand takes down the 2,500 year statue. So this is what we are about to witness. God gave Daniel the interpretation 2,500 years for one reason alone, to prove and show to the world that there is a God. And he writes the end from the beginning.
That's so
There's
cool.
no one ever in history that's been able to do this. Now, Daniel, timeline, back to the word Daniel, the prophet Daniel on page 17, it's 1260 days. So let me show you how God works and how he writes. And this is what he shows me. So if you go to page 18, and I've been doing the cycle of the presidents for quite a while now. I did, if you way down in the presentation, you can see the Obama cycle, because it's mind-blowing how you run the Daniel cycle on Obama. Freaks me out. Actually, it creeps me out. It doesn't freak me out, it creeps me out. But now when we look at the Trump cycle, okay, you look at November 8th on 2016, he wins the election, okay? 1,260 days later, to the precise day, I said on I don't know how many news channels or interviews that something huge goes down on April 20th into the 21st of 2020. Months before it ever happened. And what happened on that date, Noah? Oil went to what? Not only zero, it went to negative $38. Remember, the petrodollar, the US dollar is backed by by oil. So why would oil go to net? They would pay you $38 to take oil, a barrel. The point is, the best way I can describe is God made that as a marker in time. Again, write that down. That was a marker in time, because it was 1,260 days precisely from the day Trump got elected.
That's right. Okay. And by the way, we have old videos on that. Bo was on our show talking about that before it happened. He said, watch that date. And it's all, go back and find the old Rumble videos.
Yeah, that was on all the old videos on Greg Hunter. It was all over the place. We did those interviews. And then Greg Hunter and I would actually watch it. We were actually speaking on the phone on the 20th, watching oil drop to negative $38. Both of us going, what the heck is going on?
Wow.
So the point is, like, that was a marker in time. Now, I made a big prelude to this whole conversation about that, because it is important. Because God is in the what? He's in the details. You can see God clearly in the details. Okay, so now, Noah, I asked you, I gave you a link earlier, and we talked about, the number 888. I don't know if you can pull that link up, but read the first few lines of that about what 888 represents. And this is not numerology, people. This is biblical.
Yeah, do you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, right here.
The link to this article also is on page 20. Basically, the essence of it describes the word, one word. It's the Jesus. It's Jesus. And then what's right above there? The beginning of something what, Noah?
Something new.
Say it again, Noah. It's the beginning of what?
Yeah, new.
There you go. The beginning of something new. Okay, Noah. So now go to page 18 again.
Okay. And
so from oil going to zero, 888 days, precisely, exactly, perfectly, by the hand of God, just happens to be September 24th, 2022.
It's right there in the green, right here. And Bo, you have been talking about that date for a long time. Countless interviews that we've done. Again, it's all
of this year, for the past 11, 12 months, we've talked about how this is the year of Jubilee, and the year ends on September 24th, 2022. And you can go, and page 20, shows the dove. It's the Holy Spirit. This is the moment in time that we've been waiting for everything that's about to change. So and again, so Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year. It ends on September 24th. To make you even crazier about this whole thing, right? So you read, let's go to page 42, because Haggai, the prophet, I got to give credit to Lois Vogel Sharp on this, because the day that Roe v. Wade was overturned, a few days before that, the viewers, you need to listen to this. A few days before Roe v. Wade was overturned, God gave Lois a prophetic word that Roe v. Wade was about to be overturned, and it would be overturned on June 24th.
Wow.
And as important as that was, God, on that same prophetic word, prophecy, gave Lois, listen closely, people, he gave Lois Haggai 1, and Haggai 2. Haggai 1 states, then Haggai, the messenger of the Lord, spoke to the people with the Lord's message. I am with you, declares the Lord. And the Lord stirred up the spirit of the remnant of the people, and they came to work on the house of the Lord, their God, on the 24th day of the 6th month of the 2nd year of Darius. That is June 24th. So as of June 24th, what does Romans 8 verse 31 say? God is with us. Who could be against us? So as of June 24th, we overturned Roe v. Wade, and where's God? He's with us.
Yeah, that's so good.
And if God is with us, who could be against us? And from that moment forward, Israel, when they said that, right, they go to battle and they would never lose a battle because God was with them. My point being is back to page 42. As incredible as Haggai 1 turned out to be, you have to remember God, the creator, who gave the interpretation to Daniel about the next 2,500 years. Yes, that God gave Lois, because there is no time with God, right? So this God gave Lois, who spoke to Daniel. He also spoke to Lois, and he said, not only is Haggai 1 going to be important, but Haggai 2 is going to be important. And what does Haggai 2 state? It states, on the 24th day of the 9th month of the 2nd year of Darius, the word of the Lord came by the prophet Haggai. Thus saith the Lord, consider from this day onward the 24th day of the 9th month, the vine, the fig tree, the pomegranate tree, and the olive tree have yielded nothing. Now, let me explain what God showed me on that one, okay? When I read that, God clearly showed me one thing. He showed me this. Every time you read the word tree, okay, it has to yield something, right? But what if they yielded nothing? So meaning like the olive tree has yielded no olives, get it? The pomegranate tree has yielded no pomegranates. The fig tree has yielded no figs. And the vine tree has yielded no grapes. Are you with me? It's yielding nothing. What does that mean? It means that all the highly intelligent people that stand before, us today, that work for us, work for the Lord, basically, the smart attorneys that are basically trying to expose the medical, political, financial, all of these people that work with, 45, the president, all these people that are there working and exposing everything and showing everything. And you saw, what the one gentleman did, he showed how they would, the mules,
Yes.
the video called The Mules, right? All of this, all the exposure that's been done so far, Noah, what's it yielded?
Nothing.
Correct. It's yielded nothing. But Haggai said that 2,500 years ago. So Haggai wasn't speaking particularly about events of today, but God was.
Wow.
But God was. He was speaking. He had Haggai write this because God knew. What did he know? That the 9th month, the 24th day of it in the 2nd year, in our year time, would be important. And that's why he gave it to Lois. And so the point being is that, so in the last line of Haggai states this, but from this day forward, I will bless you. Everything that we've done has yielded nothing. Man has done it, yield nothing. But from this day forward, it's going to boom. It's just the evil ones are going to be collapsing and falling because the exposure is going to come out and come out and come out and come out. And so the prophetic word that Lois also got was, I will show my fire. And you read Proverbs 97, fire goes before him and devours all foes on the left and the right, all around him. So the fire is about to start devouring. And on that day, evil will be thwarted. That means stopped in its tracks. So I don't care what all these people have done across the world, how they control the world, how Babylon stands today, because we're about to see the greatest move of God's Spirit. Probably one of next to creation, probably one of the greatest move of God's Spirit ever in the history of the world. This is a 2,500 year plan that God's about to unleash on these people. It's going to be historic. And that takes it to the next slide, page 43. Babylon, Babylon, the great has fallen. We are going to see a historic crash. Okay. The stock markets are about to crash like you've never, ever seen before. All I know, and I don't know the day it's going to happen. I don't watch markets that close, but I do know that God showed me page 45, and I drew this chart out about 2 years ago when he showed me it. And page 45, I've been tracking this chart for over 2 years now. I've shown this on your channel for probably 2 years now, Noah. I've seen this chart. And all I know was that big final red line there in September of 2022, which is next month. All I can tell you is I was on Greg Hunter's show in February of 2020, say the market's going to crash around 30 to 40% in March, and everybody thought I was crazy.
I remember that.
We were at the same point in time because remember, February, the markets crash in March, 30 days later. Okay, so today is what? August 22nd, okay? September 22nd is the first day of fall. All I'm saying is the probability between today and by the end of September that we see maybe a 50 to 70% stock market crash is huge. Whoa. It's huge. This chart basically, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but all I'm just telling you is that I'm just looking at the cycle, and I'm telling you the cycle has been spot on for 2 years now. And page 47 says, if you look over to page 47, from the top of the market in January, we could basically see anywhere between a 47% crash, 0.2 is a 66% crash, 0.3 is a 80% crash, and 0.4 is an 86% crash. So I don't know. I don't care because I'm not in the stock market. But God basically has spoken very clearly on page 43. He says the crash, the collapse, not even a crash. This is going to be a collapse. Okay. There's no crash coming. A crash is like a drop. Okay. A collapse is just, it's something completely different. Okay. A collapse is just a free fall of the market. So page 43 states that collapse will be the victory needed to stop these psychopaths.
So, Bo, that's a great point. So, you've been telling us things have turned. God is with us. We've had the repeal of Roe versus Wade. Now he's with us. But now you're talking about our entire system collapsing. Break that down a little bit. This is the mammon system. This is the money system. This is the system that these people in this photo have used to control people. Why is this crash a good thing? Why does it lead to freedom? Walk people through that, because I can hear people having questions about that.
No, I appreciate that. That's actually a very, very good question, because it's like, why would we want what the world we grew up in to crash? But the problem is this, right? The world we grew up in is controlled by demons. It's satanic. We're in bondage. Every day you go to work to pay bills and mortgages and debts and credit cards that are created out of thin air that you think you owe. So basically, for 2,500 years, this kingdom, and it all comes down to creation, right? And then after creation, Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden, so we're in end times, right? And so Adam and Eve let Satan on the earth, and he's been roaming for nearly 6,000 years now, and he hates humanity and he wants us dead. The Georgia Guidestones said it very clearly. They want population under 500 million. That was the first marker of the collapse of their kingdom. Okay. So the Georgia Guidestones went down on July 6th. We're going to see all these things coming down because everything that they've built cannot stand. Because God, it says in the Bible, thy kingdom come. God's bringing his kingdom to earth. Okay. We know that Christ is returning. Okay. So if Christ is returning, he's not returning to a kingdom run by Satanists. I'm going to repeat that. Jesus Christ is not returning to a world run by Satanists. Christ is returning to a godly earth. Okay, so what am I doing? Probably no different than John the Baptist is doing, baptizing everybody, screaming in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord. That's what's coming. Okay,
right.
We're preparing the way for the Lord. To prepare the way for the Lord, you got the system that we grew up with has to come down. it has to collapse because we have to bring on a godly money system. What's a godly money system? A money system backed by God's money. Read Haggai 2, verse 8. The silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. So we've moved away from the godly money system. And all of this back to the Jubilee. This is crazy, but this all goes back to 1971. What happened in 71? December of 71, Roe v. Wade was first argued in Supreme Court. December of 71, Klaus Schwab founded the World Economic Forum. August of 71, Nixon took us off the gold standard, and then they created satanic money because now they can create it to infinity. And if you look at the money supply went straight vertical as of 1971. It's absolutely insane what happened to the money supply because they can make money out of thin air. So they've been since 71, the money supply has gone in absolutely ballistic because they can create money out of thin air, and they've used that money to enslave humanity. So back to your question, why do you want to see the fall of the system? Because it's satanic. Because it's a global world domination system run by Luciferians, bunch of Satanists working for Satan. And thy kingdom's coming. And, before Jesus Christ ever came, John the Baptist was shouting, from the rooftops, prepare the way for the Lord. And that's what's coming. We are preparing the way for the Lord. We are the latter rain preparing the way for the Lord. And that's how it is. And it's going to start with an honest money system. And we can talk about this later. The plan is that when 45 returns later this year, by year end, he's going to reinstate the gold and silver as the U.S. money system. And we're going to see insane, awesome, incredibly fantastic prices on precious metals. Why? Because we need money to transact with. So we're going to see historic moves of precious metals very, very, very soon, but basically this year. And that's going to tie into the collapse. This is because Babylon was built on what? The dollar. It was built on the dollar. They've created the dollar out of thin air to infinity and enslaved humanity. What did Jesus Christ do? He walked in the temple and flipped the tables on who? The money changers. So what's Jesus Christ, what's God the Father and the Holy Spirit about to do right now? They're about to flip the table on who? The money changers. Because Ecclesiastes is very clear, that which has been will be again. There is nothing new under the sun. And so God the Father is about to flip the tables on the money changers, and we're about to see the fall of Babylon. So this is why it's important to understand how this plays out, because the fall of the dollar, the world reserve currency, is going to cause gold and silver to do a moonshot. We're literally going to wake up one day, and I expect silver to triple in price. Actually, 3.5 fold, because it's Daniel, so 3.5 most likely, which take it right around $70. Very quickly, and probably in one day, to go to just in the $68 to $70 range. Best guess, I don't know. That's my guess. And then it's going to back off, and then it's going to go to triple digit. Matthew talks about blessings 30, 60, and 100 fold. And so we're just going to see crazy, awesome prices. If you run the math on Matthew, right? We talk about gold and silver. So when God intervenes, we're not going to see a 30% increase on silver or on gold. No, we're going to see multiplication. Okay. That's what you see. And when you talk about blessings, well, there's been people on the internet talking about the price of $600 silver might happen one day, right? Well, how do you come up with that number? It's actually kind of easy, right? Read Matthew, $20 silver times 30 blessings, $600. Okay,
there it is.
The
That's
price
right.
And 100 fold means silver easily will go to $2,000 an ounce. Okay, and this is just like this. This is a warm up for things that are going to happen. Because why? This is a kingdom economy, not a Babylonian economy. Okay, so the Babylonian world is where we live. And if silver and gold had value, then we would be living in a kingdom economy. But we're not. We're living in a Babylonian economy. Okay. And so when Babylon falls, thy kingdom come and thy kingdom rises. And so we're going to have gold and silver go to astronomical prices. But that creates a problem. And now we talk about cryptocurrencies about as well, too, because that creates a problem. that creates a very big problem with transactions worldwide, because when the dollar loses its world reserve status, which is going to happen this year, okay, when the dollar loses again its world reserve status this year, you have to understand what that means. It means that other countries are not going to accept the dollar as payment. Okay, they're not going to accept the dollar as payment. And so if you don't have other means of transacting at a distance, how are you going to pay people? And that's why it's important to understand the benefits of cryptocurrencies, because yes, cryptocurrencies years down the road are going to be involved in the beast system, but this is not the rise of the beast right now. We're at the fall of the harlot, okay? You have to understand timelines, okay? We're seeing the fall of the harlot, not the rise of the beast. When the beast rises, oh, you don't want to own any cryptos. I agree with that one, but that's still a few years out, okay? And so, but right now, when the dollar loses, again, listen, this is so important, Noah, for the viewers to listen to. When the dollar loses its world reserve status, how are you going to pay for something in Germany? Because Germany's probably not going to accept the dollar. How are you going to buy something from Singapore? Wherever you want to buy from, right? But we still want to buy, maybe German cars or this and that, right? So how are you going to pay for things? And that's why it's important to understand why people need to understand why they need to understand cryptocurrencies, because cryptocurrencies will be the number one means of transacting at distance.
Yes.
At distance.
Sorry, but I was just going to say, you can't very well mail a block of gold in the mail, can you?
Well, that's the thing, right? And you can't break it into pieces. So cryptocurrencies will be the means of transacting at distance. And so that's why it's critically important for people to understand that they need to get involved in understanding how cryptocurrencies work. I'm telling you, it's so important, because when the dollar falls, people are going to be scrambling, trying to figure out, how do I get involved in cryptocurrencies? How do I do this? How? And that's why it's so important to understand cryptocurrency, because they're really not that complicated. There's a bunch of steps in it, but it's not that complicated. For those that don't understand how to use a computer, then the simplest way is just own gold and silver. But gold and silver, ultimately, they're stores of wealth. Okay, they're stores of wealth. And so yes, people will be in the near term, they're going to be going to the grocery stores, they're going to be going to car dealerships, they're going to be buying houses with precious metals. Mark my words, okay? Because precious metals will be part of the new U.S. currency, that's going to be instated, okay? So people will be buying homes and cars and groceries and shopping with silver and probably some gold. That is coming, okay? But that's local, because they can then give you change in the dollar still that will be backed by gold or silver, okay? So you'll get change, but that's at close proximity. At distance, you better know how cryptocurrencies work. If you want to buy stuff overseas at distance in different states, you're getting overseas, different states, right? So that's critically important to be involved in the understanding of how cryptocurrencies work. Again, it's all about the crash of Babylon, the fall, the collapse of Babylon. The world, I'm going to repeat, the world reserve currency is going to crash. People will not accept the US, many countries will not accept the US dollar as payment. And because of that, there will be an immediate need for getting involved and paying people at distance, and thus the importance of cryptocurrencies. So, we don't want to hear about anybody tell me that, cryptos are bad. No, they're not bad. They're going to be extremely necessary for the next few years, at least, to transact at distance. Ultimately, I'm getting out of all my cryptocurrencies later on, but not right now, because the reason for transactions are incredibly, incredibly important. And we're coming into a timeline of decision for cryptocurrency. Something huge is coming very, very soon. So there you go, Noah.
Yeah, no, that is so good. I want to talk about what's coming in just a minute. We've got something on the screen here. I'll get to that in just a minute. But when you first started coming on my show and you would talk about cryptocurrencies, I would say one of the most common comments we got and concerns we got was, oh, crypto's going away. Bitcoin's going away. This is the tulip bulb mania. This is Beanie Babies again. And don't really hear that anymore. That was about 2 or 3 years ago we heard that. I think that ship, at least in my opinion, has sailed. And maybe somebody out there will disagree with me, and you can leave a comment below if you disagree. But I used to hear that a lot. Bo would come on here and they'd say, "What are you having this guy on for? He doesn't know what he's talking about." Even in just the last 3 weeks since Bo was last on our show, there have been major announcements from J.P. Morgan Chase, from Morgan Stanley, from Goldman. All of these big banks, they are now opening up crypto to their most wealthy clients. Now, of course, they're letting their big clients in first. They're opening it up to their people in their highest tiers, but they are now opening it up to where you can buy Bitcoin through them, and they'll set you up an account and they'll do all this stuff. I don't know about you, but I don't qualify for that. But I find it really interesting that when you get Goldman involved.
Well, actually,
Goldman
can
Sachs,
I pause you for? Let me just
over.
pause you for a minute. I want to pause you for a minute because I don't know. I don't know this, but I'm saying even if they're doing that for you, my first immediate question is, are you doing it for me and giving it to me in my own private wallet? Or are you buying me Bitcoin through a stock called GBTC? Because if they're buying you Bitcoin, but they're saying, yeah, you own Bitcoin now in your portfolio because you own GBTC, which you can see on the screen there, that is a paper representation of Bitcoin. That is not Bitcoin. I'm going to repeat, GBTC is not Bitcoin. It is only a paper representation of its price movement. So yes, if Bitcoin goes up or down, you are going to see the increase in your portfolio or decrease in your portfolio, but you do not own Bitcoin. And so one day, if push comes to shove and you want your Bitcoin from that account, guess what? You're going to find out you only own a paper representation of it. It's like buying SLV and thinking you own silver. No, you own a paper representation of silver. Go ahead, Noah.
Yep. But no, very good. Very good. You need to be careful that you understand what you're buying. You might not be getting what you think you're getting. So all the more reason. There's a saying in crypto. It says, not your keys, not your crypto. You better make sure you know how to have your own wallet, where to store the stuff yourself. It's called self-custody. You keep it. It's literally like a wallet that goes in your pocket. If there's money in my pocket, in my wallet, I know I have it. But if it's at the bank, I think I have it. They send me a report every month. I'm not so sure that money's there. We got slide 61 I want to talk about. If all of this stuff is going over your head, or if you're suddenly starting to feel a bit overwhelmed, don't worry. I've got you covered. In about 2 minutes, we're going to talk about that. But I want to take a moment now, Bo. Just tell us, there's so many people that tune in every time to hear you talk because they want to hear what's coming next. And you do have a newsletter that you put out. It is for paid customers. You do these interviews for free, but you have a newsletter that's for paid subscribers. So we have to be careful that we are fair to them. They pay to get your advice, and you come in here and you do give us some nice big picture things. So I don't want you to give away too much, but you do have a slide on the screen here, slide 60. Everybody wants to know what's coming next. I want to say this too. I get your newsletter. I've gotten it for years. I love it. And about 3 or 4 weeks ago, you put out a report and you said, hey, it was probably early July or maybe mid to late July. And you said, hey, I'm looking at the cycles, and the next 30 days are going to be kind of boring. We're going to go sideways. It's not going to go too much up, and it's not going to go too much down, but just enjoy your summer and come back in a little bit, because it's going to be boring. And when I read that, I thought, oh, that's too bad. I was looking for some movement and wanted it to go up or down or do something, go down so I can buy more, or go up so that I can be excited about it. And you said it's going to be boring. And sure enough, you were right. It's been really boring the last 30 days, but it's kind of like a coiled spring. When a spring gets coiled too tight, or when you pull that rubber band too far, it all of a sudden it springs and it goes. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us, I know you can't tell us everything, but tell us what you can on this show. And if people want more, they can get it from your newsletter. But what can you tell us right now that we can all hear about for what's coming next? Are we going to get rid of the boring?
Thanks again, Noah. So when you look at these charts, all I'm telling you is that I don't give advice, but what I want to tell you is in my report, when you read it, there's two main things in it. It has my percentage of my coins and all the coins I hold. Because that, to me, I've done all the research, so I know which coins, to me, in my heart, I feel are the way to go. And so I lay out my positions on my coins that I hold. That's number one. The number two is I literally write down the cycles that are coming. So like in the black there, I've blacked it out, but really, the Ecclesiastes states that which has been will be again. So it's crazy how you can predict price movement before it ever happens. We know the cycle that's coming. And that's why I was able to write back in July, it's going to be a boring summer, because I knew the pattern basically they were going to hold it down, and it's exactly what's happened. Even from the last point, like on the 15th of last week, we called it at point one, and I say it's going to turn down, and look what's happened. Bitcoin's turned down from like 23 or 1,000 it was, and it's pulled back now back to the 21 range. So even the turn that's happened in the past week was foretold, was predicted, okay? So none of this is random. But the point I want to make here on that chart, the top is a historic cycle that we maintain privacy, that's in our report. The bottom is Bitcoin today. And you can see it's wedged in a channel there all of July, all of August, right? And so it's going to break out of that channel really, really soon. Is it going to break up, explode vertical? Is it going to collapse down with a crash? That's kind of what I have to keep secret with my subscribers. So if you want to know exactly what's predicted within the cycles, we've got the cycles forward. A lot of excitement is coming really, really soon. And so I'm telling you, this is a really exciting time to be alive. But it's what I would say, it's a really important time to be positioned as well, too. So you want to know what's coming, because again, the world as we know it is about to change, so this collapse of the dollar, this is like the essence of everything that's going to change so quickly and so soon. And that's why it's so important to understand how to be involved in cryptocurrencies and also to know which coins you're going to be holding. So again, you don't need to have anything that we offer. Just go buy Bitcoin or cryptos if you feel you want to own some. But if you don't know how to do it, the whole point is understand that there's a lot of steps and there's a lot of mistakes that can be made. So it's important to understand to do it correctly. And ultimately, the most important thing is, if you're going to hold cryptocurrencies, you need to know how to hold them correctly in a private wallet, and how to arrange all those steps and how to do it all. That's my little spiel on cryptocurrencies. And ultimately, if you don't understand any of that, just go buy gold and silver from your local coin dealer. But again, if you want to transact at distance, you better learn how to transact in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, that's great. So we're totally respectful of that, Bo. We understand you have a newsletter that people pay for, and so you can't give all the details, but you are telling people your cycles, and it's not advice, it's not trading advice. You're not a financial advisor, but you look at the cycles, and your cycles are showing a big move coming, and it's about time, because I'm getting bored watching it just go sideways. So that's exciting. The answer to that question is in the newsletter, and of course you provide updates every couple of days about what's changing or anything you're seeing that's different. So if you want that, Bo always does this when he comes on. It's everything he gives us is free, but with his time and with this slide presentation. But if you want the newsletter, you go to gold2020forecast.com and you use this code that he set up just for the people watching this. It's WLT49. When you go to sign up for that newsletter, there's going to be a little box, and it says put in your discount code or your promo code. You put in WLT49. You're going to get 50% off. You can get in there. You can see, you don't just get the new stuff. You get the entire archive. It's in there going back years. You get historically what Bo has said, how accurate it's been, compare it for yourself. And then you'll get all the new reports as well. So that's in there. He's said many times, Bitcoin's great. If you want to just buy some Bitcoin, that's great. Probably not going to hurt you in the long run. But if you want some of the other coins that he thinks are going to do a lot more percentage-wise than Bitcoin, he's got those, and some of those are on the screen there. That's not all of them. He's got some other ones in the report. But he's got some that he likes even more. If you feel like you missed the boat on Bitcoin, he's got some that he thinks could even outperform what you've seen there. So that's all on there. That's only good for a few days, and then he does shut that code off. So if you want to see where we're going, you can get that. And then I told you I had something exciting for you if this is a bit overwhelming, and this is really cool. I'm excited about this. For a while, maybe a year ago, Bo had this up and running. He shut it down for a little bit, and now he's brought it back. He calls it his Easy Crypto School. If anything that we're talking about is overwhelming to you, or you don't even know where to get started, or it just feels like we're speaking a different language, but you know that this is something you want to learn, you know that you feel like you're missing the boat and you want to get on board, that's probably a wise move. You don't have to understand all this stuff. Bo lays it out in step by step, really easy to understand. He's got the whole process mapped out. If you can follow directions, if you can read an easy 7-step thing, then you can do all of this. And he tells you how to set up the accounts. He tells you where to go. He tells you which companies you can trust. He tells you the things to be careful about, the mistakes that he's made along the way, so you don't make them, so you don't lose money by sending something to the wrong place. It's all in there. And so this is for the first time in really quite a while, he's brought this back. It was unavailable to sign up for, and now it's back. It's the Easy Crypto School. You just go to easycryptoschool.com, and it's literally like school, but a lot more fun and simple. 7 steps, and he'll take you from start to finish. If you don't know the first thing about how to get started, that's where this school starts, and it takes you pretty quickly to where you've got the first Bitcoin or first cryptocurrency showing up in your wallet. One important thing about this is we've seen this before. When it's slow, when we got that sideways action, when everyone's kind of thinking that it's getting boring, that's the time to sign up for this, to get your account set up, to link your bank accounts, to do all that stuff. When things take off, we've seen this many times before. Bo, you can kind of nod if you've seen it before and then comment if you want. But I've been around in 2019, 2017. When things start going crazy, they don't let you create new accounts at a lot of these places. They're overwhelmed. They can't keep up. And they say, you know what, for the next month, no more new accounts. We just got to keep up with what we have.
I want to chime in on that because basically that is so true. I want to talk a little more about cryptos today, just to get people, because I need to have people to understand, when the dollar crashes, it's going to be world changing. This is going to be so dramatically different, than we've ever understood. This has never happened before, right? This is going to be a worldwide situation that we're going to have to deal with, and it's going to be incredibly stressful. And so what's going to happen is, and we've seen this happen before, Noah, every time cryptos start taking off to the upside, immediately people want to get involved in cryptocurrencies, and they go to the exchanges and they start opening up an account because you need to get your money from your bank account into the exchanges. And the moment this thing starts to happen, the exchanges get bogged down, and they literally will send you an email saying, we've received your application, but we're going to process it. We cannot process it right now, or we'll be back to you in about a month from now. This has all happened numerous times already. So right now, you can open up accounts right now, but soon enough, you won't be able to open up accounts. And then this is going to be a huge problem on top of that yet. The banks are going to have problems. There's going to be, because when the dollar crashes, this is going to affect the banking system. And so I don't know how easy it's even going to be to get your money out of the bank to even get it over to the exchange, even if you got the exchange thing situated and set up. So I'm telling you, I wanted to talk about, the cryptocurrencies a little more today to have people understand the huge benefits that they're going to provide in terms of being able to transact. And that's not even including the gains that these things are going to be making. It's going to be insane what they're going to do in terms of price in the very near future here. Before year end, you're going to see stupid, crazy, awesome prices coming. And the ones that didn't do anything, they're literally going to be sitting there watching it and, doing the shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't. And that's what's going to happen. So the world is about to change. All I can do is just do my best to give people a look into the future regarding time. And I've read Haggai 2 to you. I've shown you the 888 cycle. I've shown you Leviticus, the 50-year timeline. Everything says that September 24th, and I don't know if anything's going to happen on September 24th, because that's not for me to say. This is a God thing, okay? But all I'm telling you is that somewhere around, on or about, somewhere in September, is going to be fireworks like you've never seen before in this world. September is going to be fireworks all over the place. I don't know what that means. I'm just telling you, it's going to be something that we have never seen before. And so those who are prepared are going to just be comfortably sitting, and the others who've done nothing are going to be rambling like you've never imagined before, but they're not going to be able to get a lot done.
That was such a good line to end on, Bo. Fireworks coming in September, worldwide fireworks in September, and it is not far away. Today is August 22nd, and so we are literally in the home stretch of this thing. And doesn't it feel like things are accelerating too? I mean, we had the raid on Mar-a-Lago. I mean, everything, every time we have you on, it seems like we just escalate up a notch, and it really does feel like it's all coming to a crescendo. So, Bo, we are so appreciative of your time. You've been on for over an hour with us. I've got this up on the screen here. If you want this easy crypto school, Bo's going to give you the discount off of that as well. It's the same code. You type in WLT49 and you can get that. And then you get access to the whole school up front. So you can spend as much time on it as you want. He's going to take you from start to finish. I'm going to turn this off. We're going to come back to you, Bo. We're going to stop the share. There we go. Look at that. We got you bigger on the screen. And I want to thank you for your time tonight. There's a lot in here. You've put forth a very clear date of things changing. And it's not that far away. You've talked about an amazing time that we're going to see. We're going to see acceleration. We're going to see it in a 24-hour period. And then we always appreciate, because it's the biggest question I get, where do you see the markets and where do you see crypto? And you filled us in there too. So
we're so close to this thing. And when it goes down, people are going to be like scrambling, going crazy, going, what am I supposed to do? And you have like a little window right now to take advantage of it and do something. Just do something. Listen to the interview a couple times, whatever it takes to get to understand how to get involved. And because you've got forewarning, right? We're giving you forewarning of what's coming. God does nothing before for speaking through his servants, the prophets, and there are numerous prophets that are even in my presentation that have reiterated what I have laid out here. I'm just giving you a more detailed analysis of it with regards to the markets.
Well, Bo, you are making a difference. We have 6 million people a month that read our website and that watch these videos, and that getting to hear your words and hear that warning and take action on that warning is really important. And like you say, yes, the stock market's interesting. Yes, gold and silver and cryptocurrencies. You also give really practical advice. Go out and make sure you have enough food and water. Make sure your pantry is stocked. Make sure your family's safe. Make sure you've got all the basics.
We spend more time talking about finances in this report, but ultimately just remember, like, step back and let's forget the finances, step backwards, right? Who's in charge of all this, right? Who's making it happen? Who wrote the 2.5? Who created everything, right? This is a 6,000-year event going back to creation. It's a 2,500-year prophecy, all done by one. It's a Trinity, right? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That who's in charge of this, so don't remember, right? As much as and as crazy all this is going to get, because it's going to get uglier, it's going to get crazy, it's going to get scary. Just know that God the Father, his Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit are in complete control of everything. So first off, you should go into everything we talked about. Don't act on anything that I or Noah have spoken about today. You need to go find a quiet room, quiet time, and pray on it. And how does it resonate with your soul, with your heart? And if it does, then maybe you should get busy really quickly, but the point is, do nothing without, first praying on it, because that is the essence, first pray, then you're right. You should have food, you should have water, and the finances, are just a matter of preparation. This is nothing more than, John the Baptist in the wilderness screaming, prepare the way of the Lord, because Christ is returning, not tomorrow, but we're preparing the way. And the world is going to change suddenly.
Well, that is great advice. I always like to give you the last word, and I think that was it. That was just, I can't think of a better way to end it than with that kind of practical advice and praying and making sure you're prepared. So that's why we love having you on, Bo. Thank you so much for coming on. I told you this was jam-packed, and it did not disappoint. So we're going to help us get this message out to people that need to hear it. Like Bo said, watch it, pray on it, and we'll be back. We'll be back with another one. But we just hope this is helpful. And Bo, I thank you for your time. Thanks for coming on.